Hello Gemini, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer, and I've got 40 years experience in the business now and over 30,000 clients worldwide and tens of thousands of students worldwide. My videos, my YouTube videos, Gemini have had more than 250,000 viewings now. So it's nice to be able to reach out to people and help them to become more of who they really are. So Gemini, it's nice to welcome you to this look at your horoscope for the months of September and October 2014. What I'm going to do here for you, Gemini, is to tell you first of all a few things about yourself. That's always a lot of fun. About your personality and look at your lifetime conditions and circumstances in your life. And then I'm going to lay things out for you over the next couple of months, September and October, what sort of conditions and events that you're going to be experiencing from the movement of the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, through the houses of your horoscope, and what sort of impact that this is going to have upon you in this 2-month period, and what sort of conditions and events that you can experience in this time, what sort of tests that you might be facing, and so forth. And then I'm going to look at the slower moving bodies of Jupiter and Saturn and tell you where Jupiter is in this 2-month period and what sort of impact that that's going to have upon you, Gemini. And then I'm going to look at Saturn and tell you a few things about the movement of Saturn as well, where it's sitting and what impact that that's having upon you in this 2-month period. And then we'll wrap it up with a little bit of a pep talk. So you just sit back and relax, Gemini, and enjoy the journey with me. I've been a professional astrologer for a long time now, and having a good time helping people to understand themselves and to become more of who they really are. Now you, Gemini, are a very loving person. You're ruled by the second ray of love, wisdom. So you're a loving person. You've got a great deal of love to give. You're affectionate. You're very adaptable and changeable, and there's a distinct sense of duality in your nature, Gemini. You feel at times that there's two people in the one body. You can't understand yourself sometimes. So you seem as if there's a lot of interest in music and artistic things, and you're very communicative and talkative. You use your hands quite a lot in conversation and communication, Gemini. Now you work from home at some time in your life, and you gain from property ownership in terms of financial security, and you seem to have some involvements with the family in terms of a business involvement, or your joint finances that you work together with the family to have investments or property investments or family business or something like that. So there's some involvement there with the family as far as your income is concerned. Now it's possible, Gemini, that you could work from home or run some sort of a business from home. Now you do like to be the centre of attention in conversation and communication. You drive a nice car. You're very proud when it comes to the car, so you keep it nice and clean. There's a lot of social involvements with relatives and neighbours. And you're a good organiser as far as social functions with relatives and neighbours are concerned, Gemini. Now you have domestic pets around the home. You're very fussy and particular about cleanliness around the home. It's possible that you could have worked with one of your parents somewhere along the line, and it's possible that you could have worked in the dealings with real estate at some time in your life. You enjoy reading around the home. Now you just love, Gemini, going out to restaurants and places of amusement, and you love social activities that involve the general public. So you like going out to public parades and walks, and you love going into shopping malls and things like that. You enjoy social involvements with the general public, and even when you go to a restaurant, You like to be able to have a view where you can see the general public walking past. So you have an affinity there socially with the general public, Gemini. You could have children involved in the artistic expression. They could be dancers, or they could be involved socially in the dancing side of things or the artistic side of things. You could have some romantic involvement with somebody who's an artist or a musician or something like that at some time along the way. Now, in your job, Gemini, it's quite feasible that you have involvements with public finances, so that you could be involved with public handling public money in your job. So you could be in a shop or something like that. Certainly you'd be dealing with the public in some way. Now, Gemini, it is possible for you to get involved in a secret relationship with somebody that you meet through the job or that you work with at some time in your life. And there seems to be also something to do connected with your work that has a degree of secrecy surrounding it. So in other words, there's some sort of secrets that you've got to keep with people that you work with, so that some of the people that you work with, for example, might be earning money on the side. They might be earning money without paying tax on it or something like that. So there's something there that involves secrets connected with the job. And it's either secrets to do with the sexual side of life or to do with the financial side of life. Now, you could have more than one marriage, Gemini. There's a lot of duality there as far as your relationship with your spouse is concerned. They might have been born distantly from the place of your birth. So there's something there to do with your spouse that makes them a connection there to foreign lands or to in-laws that are perhaps overseas and that sort of thing, or that live distantly from you. Now, you can have your fair share of disagreements with your partner over joint finances. You can't make up your mind between the two of you about ways and means of spending your money and so forth. And there's very futuristic interests in your mind as far as your spiritual and religious points of view are concerned. And this might create crises and problems with in-laws, so that they have different opinions as far as spirituality is concerned than what you do. It's possible, Gemini, that you could work in a hospital or an institution at some time in life, or you could work with some charity or something like that at some time in your life that cares for the underprivileged. So that just tells you a few things about yourself and a look at lifetime conditions and circumstances in your life. Now I'm going to look at the movements of the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars for you, Gemini. And I'm going to lay this out on a timeline. So I'm going to tell you where these bodies are on the 1st of September 2014. And then that sort of influence that I portray for you will remain as is until there's a change that comes. So it's on a timeline, and I'll tell you then when one of those planets or bodies moves into a different house of your horoscope and what changes that will make. Now on the 1st of September, Gemini, you've got the Sun in the 4th house of your horoscope, and also Mercury is in the 4th house of your horoscope. Now with the Sun being in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's a lot more involvements with family, a lot more social involvements around the home and with the family side of things. And there's a lot more communication with family matters, property matters and domestic matters. There's a lot more communications with parents, with Mercury there in the 4th house of your horoscope if they're still alive. Now Venus starts off the month on the 1st of September in the 3rd house of your horoscope, so there's a lot more social involvements at the beginning of the month with relatives and with neighbours. There's a lot more interest in music and creative and artistic things. And there's a lot more social involvements also at the beginning of September revolving around the motor vehicle. Mars is in the 6th house of your horoscope to start the month off with on the 1st of September, Gemini. Now with Mars in the 6th house of your horoscope, there can be a fair bit of tension for you. There's potential for tension to do with health and dietary matters, arguments and conflicts with people that you work with, and there can be accidents involving domestic pets or stresses and tensions revolving around domestic pets. Now the first change that we come to, Gemini, Mercury moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, seeing a lot more communication on the 3rd of September onwards. There's a lot more communication with children, there's a lot more social involvements with people that you work with, and there's a lot more social involvements with relatives and neighbours with Mercury in the 5th house of your horoscope. There's a lot more helping of any children in your life with their homework and things like that, and with their recreational activities and so forth. Now on the 6th of September, Venus moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, Gemini, and that means that there's a lot more social involvements revolving around parents, if they're alive, and there's a lot more social involvements around the home and with the family and the domestic side of life. There's a great deal more love to do with the family and the domestic side of life in the home, a lot more music around the home and that sort of thing with Venus in the 4th house. On the 14th of September, Gemini, Mars moves into the 7th house of your horoscope. Now that starts a cycle where your spouse is likely to be a bit more assertive and dominant in their nature. There can be arguments and conflicts with your spouse or partner. There can be accidents revolving around your partner. There can be back and kidney trouble and bladder trouble with Mars in the 7th house. On the 24th of September, Gemini, the Sun moves into the 5th house of your horoscope. That sees a lot more focus over the next 30 days upon the social side of your life. Matters relating to the children come to the fore, especially social involvements with the children, and there's a strong urge to get out to restaurants and places of amusement when the Sun is in the 5th house of your horoscope. Now on the 28th of September, Mercury moves into the 6th house of your horoscope, seeing a lot more communication with people that you work with. It's a good time for job interviews because you'll be very able to communicate your point of view and your assets to any employer. There's also communications about health and dietary matters come to the fore, and also any communications to do with domestic pets come to the fore when Mercury is in the 6th house of your horoscope. Now on the 30th of September, Gemini, Venus moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, and that's a very good time for you. If you're in the market for a romance, that's a very good time for social involvements, romantic involvement. It's very favourable for you for speculative things like gambling, so it's a good time to buy a lotto ticket. It's also very favourable for you for gambling on casino or horses or anything like that. And it's a very favourable time for you socially revolving around the children. There's a great deal more love for the children when Venus is in the 5th house of your horoscope. Now on the 5th of October, Mercury goes into a retrograde motion, Gemini. Now let me explain what retrograde means. It means that the planet is in an apparent backward motion. Now, the planets don't actually go into a backward motion, but what it is that the Earth is moving faster around the Sun than what Mercury is at that particular time. And it gives the appearance of Mercury going in a backward motion in relation to the background space. And so therefore, when Mercury is retrograde in your horoscope, which happens from the 5th of October to the 26th of October, it means that it impacts negatively upon 2 other houses of your horoscope. It negatively impacts upon your personal self-initiated efforts, so things just don't go as well as what you would like them to when Mercury is retrograde. There's a tendency to dwell in the past when Mercury is retrograde, and also it impacts negatively upon family matters and domestic matters. Matters relating to parents don't go as smoothly as what they should do, and there's disagreements with parents, disagreements with family members, property matters and family matters generally don't go as smoothly as what they should do when Mercury is retrograde in the horoscope in your case. Now on the 24th of October, the Sun moves into the 6th house of your horoscope, which is the house to do with health. So that improves health. It gives you a lot of extra vitality. It sees a focus upon job matters. It's a good time for job interviews if you're in the market for a job. And it's a very favourable time for you socially with people that you work with. And Venus also moves into the 6th house of your horoscope on that same day, the 24th of October. So that means that there's a great deal more happiness in the social side of life with people that you work with. And also there's a great deal more affection being expressed with people that you work with, and there's potential for romance and love to spring from the job during that time. But certainly social activities with people that you work with come to the fore, and there's also social involvements perhaps revolving around domestic pets, dog shows and things like that. Now the last movement that we come to here, Gemini, is on the 27th of October. And on the 27th of October, Mars moves into the 8th house of your horoscope. Now that brings about tensions and conflicts to do with joint finances. It activates your negativities in terms of your addictive patterns of behaviour that you felt that you'd let go of and got rid of. They come back when Mars is in the 8th house of your horoscope, especially things to do with your sexuality. Now I'm going to look at the slower moving bodies of Jupiter and Saturn and the impact that that has in your horoscope in these 2-month period. Now Jupiter is a major beneficial influence in our lives, Gemini, and Jupiter brings opportunity for growth and expansion, for benefits, for money coming in, for benefits in all areas of your life, wherever it sits during this 2-month period. Now Jupiter in this 2-month period, Gemini, is in the 3rd house of your horoscope, so it means that in this 2-month period there's a great deal more social involvements with relatives and neighbours, and the motor vehicle comes into it, so there can be a lot of happiness in travelling and so on and so forth. And with Jupiter in the 3rd house of your horoscope, Gemini, it means that there's benefits for buying and selling things and entering into contracts or agreements. But something more important still is that Jupiter moves 10 degrees in the heavens in this 2-month period. Now it moves between 10 degrees Leo and 20 degrees Leo. Now what that means, Gemini, is that if you've got any planets in your horoscope that sit somewhere between 10 degrees and 20 degrees in Leo, it means that there is a conjunction between Jupiter and those planets in this 2-month period. And you want to know about that, because when Jupiter forms a conjunction with a planet in your horoscope, it brings tremendous opportunity for growth, expansion, and benefits financially and or in other ways into your life. And that's what astrology is meant to do. Astrology is meant to bring to your awareness the opportunities that are there astrologically to improve your circumstances in life. So with Jupiter there forming a conjunction, you want to know about that. So if you haven't got your horoscope done already, submit your birth details into my website, into my horoscope page of my website, your horoscope page, www.mysteryofsirius.com, and I'll do your horoscope chart for you and send it to you. And then that tells you whether you've got any planets in that 10-degree section, and therefore whether or not Jupiter is going to form any conjunction there with those planets. And you can therefore take full advantage, Gemini, of those conjunctions that occur in that 2-month period of September and October, and take full advantage of that. Now, Saturn is a major detrimental influence in our life wherever it sits, Gemini, and you've got Saturn in this 2-month period is sitting in the 6th house of your horoscope. Now, when Saturn is in the 6th house, and it's been there for the last 12 months in the 6th house of your horoscope, so you've already noticed that there's been some difficulties with regard to employment. There's been difficulties for you with your health with Saturn in the 6th house of your horoscope. There's been unhappiness somehow, or sickness or death of a domestic pet potentially, and frustrations and difficulties with people that you work with. So all of those areas have been impacted with Saturn in the 6th house of your horoscope for the last 12 months. But Saturn during this 2-month period of September and October is going to move 5 degrees from 18 degrees Scorpio to 23 degrees Scorpio. And what that means, Gemini, is that if you've got any planets there between 18 degrees Scorpio and 23 degrees Scorpio in your horoscope, then it means that Saturn is forming a conjunction with those planets in that particular 2-month period. And you want to know about that, because that's going to bring frustrations and difficulties through various areas of your horoscope that are ruled by those planets that are impacted by that conjunction. So that's the idea of astrology, is you can avert a crisis. You can plan ahead and avert bad decisions and wrong decisions and choices that you might make in that 2-month period that work out to be detrimental in the end result. That's the idea and objective of astrology, is to give you a roadmap in your life, Gemini. Now, where do you go from here, Gemini? Well, this is just a little bit of a pep talk that I give you here at the end of these videos to help you to develop spiritual perception. What does that mean? Well, spiritual perception means to be able to perceive life from a spiritual perspective. And I posit the suggestion to you, Gemini, that how can you possibly experience life from any other perspective than a spiritual perspective? Science says that the planets can have no impact upon you because they're just blobs of matter out there in space, and that they can have no impact at all upon the events and conditions of your life or your personality or whatever. So if anything that I've told you here about the conditions and circumstances that you're experiencing in this 2-month period, or the things that I've explained about your personality and lifetime conditions and circumstances in your life, if any of that at all is true, then it means that science is wrong. It means, Gemini, that the planets are there as the hands of some sort of a cosmic clock, and that there's intelligence behind the whole scheme of things. What I'm trying to say to you is this: that science posits that everything happened as a result of some sort of explosion in space that created all of the planets, and by some sort of fortuitous set of events started a process of evolution here on Earth that allowed you to grow from an amoeba in the ocean to become a fully fledged human being. Now, this is their position in life, is that everything's just come through this process called evolution. Now I posit to you, what's the evolutionary purpose of your fingerprints? What's the evolutionary purpose of you having different fingerprints than any other person in the world? What's the evolutionary purpose of you having a different iris than any other person in the world, so that you can be identified by your iris and nobody's got the same iris as you? What's the evolutionary purpose of that? Now, there's no doubt about it, Gemini, to say that everything on Earth just occurred as a result of some sort of explosion in space and some evolutionary process is the same as saying that a Boeing 747 just occurred as a result of an explosion in an engineering factory. That all of those intricacies and electrical mechanisms there and electronic mechanisms in that Boeing 747 all just occurred as some sort of fortuitous falling together of particles as a result of an explosion in an engineering factory. Science cannot create one thing, Gemini, that is alive. They can clone things, but they can't create one thing that is alive. They can't create one petal of a flower, let alone the whole flower. So I posit to you that there is intelligence behind the whole scheme of things, and that you, in fact, have a relationship with God, Goddess, all that is. That you have inside of you all of the properties, all of the qualities, and all of the powers of God and Goddess inside of you now. Your task, Gemini, is to recognize that fact and unfold those powers. And that, my friend, takes eternity. You never get home, you're always coming home. And you didn't just jump into incarnation here as a fully fledged human being. You are very intelligent, Gemini, just by the fact that you relate to astrology and that you're interested in astrology means that you are on the crest of the wave of evolution, Gemini. And you are interested in New Age philosophy. Astrology, meditation and reincarnation is going to be the new dispensation for all of humanity over the next 2,000 years. All of the religions are in their dying stages. And that's why there's so much chaos within the religions of the world at the moment. What I'm saying to you, Gemini, is that there is intelligence in the whole scheme of things. And that intelligence is God, Goddess, all that is. And that there is purpose and meaning in our life. That all of us have lived hundreds of lifetimes over the last 90,000 years. For you to get where you are today as a pioneer, as a leader, as a spiritual leader of the new age. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. I invite you to submit your birth details through my website, www.mysteryofsirius.com, and then I'll send you your horoscope chart together with 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters. And that book is about astrology, meditation and reincarnation. Using my voice with beautiful backing music, I take you in and out of meditation time after time to help you to understand how astrology works, how reincarnation works, how meditation works, and how you can become more of who you really are. And for only $10, I'll send you your horoscope number 2, which is a 20-page printout all about you and you alone. It tells you where all of the other planets are in your horoscope. Where is the moon? Where is Mercury, which rules your mind? The moon rules your emotions. Venus, your love nature. Mars, your energy levels. Jupiter, your higher mind. Saturn, your practicality and organizational ability. Uranus, your intuition. Neptune, your spirituality. And Pluto, your capacity to transform yourself. So I tell you where all of these planets are because all of them have impact in your life, and you need to know about that. And so I invite you to submit your birth details, order horoscope number 2 for only $10. I send you a beautiful 20-page printout all about you and you alone. There won't be another person born with the same horoscope as you, Gemini, for another 25,000 years. That makes you quite an individual, a unique individual. And you have a lot of power, strength and talent there inside of yourself that you need to unfold. And you can become more of the giant that you truly are through an expansion of your consciousness. That's the name of the game, Gemini, is consciousness expansion. I could go on talking here forever, but I can't do that because it'll take us over that threshold of being too long in this video. So allow me the opportunity to introduce you to yourself, as you will understand yourself more through having your horoscope number 2 done for only $10, a beautiful 20-page printout all about you and you alone, giving you the location of all of your planets, where they are in the houses of your horoscope, what relationships they form with each other, and therefore what qualities, principles and values that you've developed within yourself in past lifetimes. Don't you want to know that, Gemini? Don't you want to know what tests that you've set for yourself in this lifetime? It's time to become more of the giant that you truly are. So I thank you for your attentiveness here and look forward to working further with you should you decide to take that step. Thank you.